a publisher, and one day my daughter Christina asked me to write a novel with her. Well, that day was long ago, and that little girl is now an adult. But our novels live on. The Truth Seekers Mystery Series highlights a homeschool family, the Murphy teens, in an action-adventure novel that is sure to entertain as well as teach creation truths. To get your copy, visit our website at truthseekersmysteryseries.com.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at MediaAngels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Do your kids have academic motivation to be the best they can be? In this Just for Kids episode, I'm going to talk directly to the kids and encourage them to take education and its ideals in a meaningful way. Welcome, everyone. My name is Felice Gerwitz, and this is episode 462, and you can find the show notes for academic motivation at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. You can also visit MediaAngels.com for lots of books and curriculum that I have for families, and especially the novels for tweens, the Truth Seekers Mystery Series, as well as the books A Few Minutes with God. All right, now let's gather the kids together and let's talk about academic motivation. If I told you that you could win the greatest prize that even money couldn't buy, would you be interested? This prize will open up the world to you in a way that no one can ever take away from you. I want you to really listen because I'm going to give you the answer to this at the end of this session. Let me ask you another question. Who is in charge of learning? Did you say your mom, your dad, your teacher, or some other caregiver? What if I said that answer is wrong? Usually people say there are no right or wrong answers, and that might be true. Maybe, but I'm not so sure about that. If you did a math assignment and you decided to answer the questions any way you wanted to without figuring them out, would your answers possibly be wrong? I think so. So sometimes there are wrong answers. But here's the thing. Thinking about someone else being in charge of your learning is not a good way to think. Why is that? Because you should be in charge of learning. Does this mean I want you to teach yourself? I want you to start getting books and learning how to do it all on your own? Well, you might be able to do this if you're in high school or even college. But I mean that by taking charge of your learning, you're going to have a good attitude, an attitude that wants to learn. Because you can't teach yourself something you don't know, right? But you can be open to learning something you don't know that your parents and teachers are trying to show you or help you to learn. This is important for so many reasons. And one way is to be a detective, so you can learn more about it. What does a detective do? Do you know? A detective looks at a mystery and tries to solve it by looking for clues or evidence. You can be a detective and do this and start with your parents. Ask your mom and dad, or both, what they wish they had learned when they were going to school. You will be surprised. You can ask your grandparents this question as well. Often, they wish they had learned more about a specific topic because they realize that they were interested in this topic, or maybe the job attached to the topic. I can share with you a little bit about my experience. In high school, I was very interested in psychology. I loved the way that the human mind works and why people do what they do. And I thought when I got to college that I was going to be a psychologist. But then soon on, I realized I didn't like the classes I had to take for psychology. So I switched my major to education because I like to learn. And early on, I realized that learning was fun. But now, years later, especially since I've written many books, I wish I had learned more about writing, and creative writing in particular. Sure, I wrote 3 novels and another fiction account, a small novel, but it was hard work because I didn't have all the skills I needed. I had to learn it myself and teach myself and take some courses myself. But if I had gone to college knowing what I knew today, I probably would have changed what I learned. You can always learn later, but it's so much easier if you know what you want to learn and you are open to learning more things. Well, the same goes for what you want to learn. Who should be more interested in learning, you or your mom and dad? The answer is you. More than likely, this is not a true statement because your parents are more interested in learning than you are. And in fact, you might think that school is boring. Everything you learn goes into a treasure chest of your mind. Learning is like finding a treasure that only you can spend and use. Think about this. How can you have academic motivation, and what does it mean? Academics has to do with learning different subjects, learning behavior, even learning how to survive in a home and do chores as well as get along with your family members. Everything is learning. Motivation means to want to do something. Academic motivation in this sense is wanting to learn. Who benefits from learning? Do I get smarter because my kids learn how to read or write or understand history or science? Well, I might learn something that I forgot when I learned as a kid or forgot in school, but I'm not the one who's taking the test or going to get a job or college. No, I'm already an adult. The person who gains the most is the person learning. Learning opens up the world to each one of us. It helps you get a better job, or it helps you get the job you want. Learning opens your mind to new things and helps you to focus on what is important for your future. People who are not educated will not get ahead in this life. They will be stuck doing jobs they do not enjoy. Some people say that there's a way to never work a day in your life. Do you know how? How do you do this? Well, by doing a job you enjoy. If your work is something interesting to you and you get paid for it, then it's the best type of job, and it does not feel like work at all. It feels like fun. How can you be self-motivated or have academic motivation? Well, the first is think about the benefits. Why is learning important? What if you could never read? How can you read a book or read a recipe to make something or even read your math problems? You can't. So things like reading are very important. The second is realize that when you learn, this is your information forever. It goes into the treasure chest in your mind, and no one can take it away. The third is every new thing you learn is added to what you already know. And remember that treasure chest? Well, you can put it in, and then later you can cash it out at some point in your life by using the information that you learned. The fourth is learning is a good way to get a job. That's right. By learning, we can figure out the types of jobs we like. Maybe you're really good in math and you want a job that has something to do with math. Or maybe you like history like my daughter Anne, and she's now a history teacher at a high school. Maybe you like sports and you want to coach. Well, that's another thing that 2 of my children do. One of them coaches at a nearby high school, and my daughter Anne is the head softball coach at her school. So even if it's a hobby, it could be a job that you do someday, depending on how good you do your job. And the last point is learning is a way to never have to work. Does this mean that you never have to have a job? No. Of course, we all need jobs at some point, right? Even when I stayed at home with my kids, my job was as a homemaker. I had to be able to manage my home, figure out what we were going to eat and how to feed my family, as well as manage the kids and the bills and a lot of other things that go with it. So even though I was a stay-at-home mom, I still had a lot of work I did. But there's a difference between work and a job, right? If it's something that you like to do, it does not feel like a job or work. It is something that you enjoy doing. Remember, nobody can take away what you learn. What you learn is just for you, and you can benefit other people with the information that you learn. Can you add to this list? Can you add other things that you think are important and why it is important for you to learn? Part of learning is just being open to learning more information and to research on your own. Maybe you read something about history that you really liked. Maybe you liked studying the Egyptian period of time and you wanted to learn more about artifacts. There are so many different things that you can learn. Remember the question I asked you at the beginning of this podcast? I asked, if I told you you could win the greatest prize that even money couldn't buy, would you be interested? This prize will open up the world to you in a way that no one can take away from you. Now, I gave you lots of little hints in this podcast to try to give you the answer. Do you know what the answer is? Did you say learning? That's right. Wanting to learn is a wonderful way to get ahead in life, and with a little bit of focus, you can make it happen with the help of your parents and educators in your life. Remember, learning is something that is fun to do. And if you don't like some of the subjects you're learning, keep researching and looking, and you will probably find something that you want to learn more about. If you want more shows in the Just for Kids series, go to this podcast and look at the show notes, and there are some links there. Go to podcast 462 and look for Academic Motivation at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Take care, everyone. God bless, and I will talk to you soon. And stay motivated. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and TheVintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.